Hey everybody, it's GauntletX, and welcome back to some more Magic Arena, and today we're going to be playing another traditional draft of the Lost Caverns of Ixalan, checking out the newest standard legal set yet again, little break from all of the Cons of Tarkir drafts we've been doing. We've got an excellent pack one, pick one here, the Warden of the Inner Sky. We're going to need to get a wide board state of artifacts and or creatures, but if we do, and we can get a few counters on this thing, it's going to be a huge flying vigilance game-ending threat. Warden of the Inner Sky is just an excellent card and a great way to start things off. We want to take cards like Oltec Cloud Guard really highly alongside it, but they're also just super premium cards in general, so really happy to start with the Warden here. Pack one, pick number 2. We've got a couple really nice places to go. We could go for the Cootseal heading to green-white here, and that is really nice with any +1/+1 counters or +1/+1 effects like on equipment and combat tricks. Then we can end up drawing a lot of cards. So that already does synergize with the Warden of the Inner Sky while just being a really solid card on its own. You know, take cards like Deconstruction Hammer and Staggering Size highly to go with it. Could also take Veto though. A 4-mana 4/4 flyer is just beef. The additional effects of gaining some life when you sack things or making your opponent lose 2 life when you sack things, those haven't really panned out to really do too much in most games. So it's really just a 4-mana 4/4 flyer. So I think I'd rather take the Cootseal here. It gives us a really clear path to go. That could be a sweet one. We could also just take a Braid. I mean, this is super efficient removal, and red-white is probably the best 2-color pair at just spitting a bunch of permanents on the board to get tapped for the Warden of the Inner Sky. So I could absolutely see a Braid here. I think that's probably the top 3, Cootseal, a Braid, and Veto. And I guess a Braid's also more open if we get pushed off of white. You know what? We'll take the mono-colored spell here. Let's grab that, a Braid. For pick 3, this pack is pretty weak. I don't think there's anything in here I'd be excited to play in anything, except like the Synapse Necromage can be fine in those sacrifice kind of black decks, but those are pretty few. Yeah, I just really don't like this pack too much. I guess we can take Deconstruction Hammer or Attentive Sunscribe. 2 really solid on-color filler cards with our rare. I'll take the Hammer here. Pack 1, pick number 4. There's a Plundering Pirate, which is 2 permanents off of 1 card. It's also a pick 4 Zoetic Glyph, though, which is a deceptively good card. It's really easy to have an artifact sitting on your board to cast this onto. And basically, as long as you've done that, as long as you've got an artifact on board, it's going to be great. Because even once that artifact dies, once the 5/4 dies, you're still getting value out of this, getting that Discover 3 ability to cast another spell for free. Take the Zoetic Glyph here, but there's a part of me that wants to take Plundering Pirate and just go all in on red-white tappers the deck, but Zoetic Glyph's just a really good card. Pack 1, pick 5, there's a Petrify for really solid removal out of white that I will take here. Abuelo's Awakening is a very fun build around. I've built around it a couple times, but it has tended to play a little too slow because the kind of cards that are great with it tend to play a little too slow. It's really nice if you end up with just any good enter the battlefield effect artifact in your grave. So the really fun combo is cycling the boulder that does 5 damage to something and then reanimating the boulder, but it works with your craft cards as well. The problem with it working with the craft artifacts is that they're going to be exiling each other from your grave, so you're not going to have them sitting around forever for this. So kind of a nombo sometimes. Just hasn't played out incredibly well. So we'll take that Petrify there, and this looks like a really easy draft pod to just be blue-white. Blue-white craft is the general idea of the color pair where you're going to have a lot of little artifact tokens on the board or artifacts in your graveyard to flip these big game-ending craft spells like Master's Manufactory. So it's just a really solid color pair in general as well. Those are just like 2 of the strongest colors in the set. So very happy to take Guide Mural and kind of plant our flag here in blue-white. Pick 7, kind of filler stuff. We are in a best of 3 draft here, so we can take some stuff that we might sideboard in and out depending on the matchup. Stuff like Archaeologist or Sandwing or Companion. If they're a super slow, grindy deck, we want just a big dork, we can put a Sandwing in. Fabrication Foundry, like, theoretically does stuff with the craft artifacts, but I've never really seen it pop off. I've tried it like once or twice. I'll just take a Sandwing here. Pick number 8. Landmark, Gem Guard, and Archaeologists are all pretty filler, but they're on-color filler, so we can side them in and out depending on the matchup, which is kind of nice. Take the on-color filler with a Relic's Roar. Deconstruction Hammer coming back, pick 10, that's kind of nice. Card can be pretty good if we end up with a lot of the cheap little flyers that are available in blue and white. Ooh, Puzzle Door I actually like a good amount as just your early game card draw spell in this kind of deck, because it leaves that artifact in your grave to get crafted with later. Since you can exile artifacts from your grave or your craft abilities, it's actually kind of cool. Pack 2, pick 1. We live in Magical Christmas Land where we open up a Great Bomb rare that works with our first rare. So by itself, you get a legendary artifact and you get a nice big gnome token. So that's 2 permanents off of 1 spell for tapper cards like Warden of the Inner Sky. But also, if you manage to have enough permanents on board to flip this thing, you're going to be spitting out a gigantic gnome every time you cast any artifact or creature. If you flip this, you just win. It's just a little difficult to flip it. And even if you don't flip it, the card's still pretty dang good. So it's just excellent all around. We'll take the Smithy. Next best card is Waterwind Scout, followed by Petrify. These are all really good. And then there's Chupacabra Echo, which is like the only reason to play black. Really excellent black spell in this format. The absolute linchpin of like good black decks in the set. Pack 2, pick 2 immediately runs out of playables in blue and white. Actually, no, there is the Brackish Blunder. I think this kind of little bounce interaction has played perfectly fine. Not quite as good as the 2-mana bounce spell in Cons of Tarkir. I really like that one. But this can be a solid way to slow your opponent down, especially if you get to use it on a tapped creature, because those map tokens are pretty great value, so I like the Blunder. Confounding Riddle is another card that like could be a sideboard option, but definitely doesn't start in the deck. But it could be a great card to pull in and out as well. I'm going to go for the Blunder, though. Pick 3, another Petrify or another Master's Guide Mural. For interaction, I've got a Petrify, I've got a Blunder, I've got an Unlucky Drop. Really love that Guide Mural at the top end. I don't think it's going to come back, even if we're the only blue-white player. By the time it comes back, somebody will have taken Petrify, Final Strike, Scouts, Ceratops, Restless Fence. There's just like not enough good cards in here that somebody's going to like just pass this. Someone's going to hate draft it at least by the time this pack comes back, I think. So I'm going to take the Master's Guide Mural. All right, pack 2, pick 4. Huge fan of Staunch Crewmate. Hits the board, digs for an artifact out of our top 4, puts it into our hand. It works with pirates as well, but I don't think we have any pirates right now. We will probably draft a couple like Waylaying Pirates to get that Staunch Crewmate even more consistent. That's such a good value play that you get to play while curving out aggressively. Now we'll take a River Herald Scout, I think. Just working on the mana curve mostly. Yeah, we need a lot more cheap stuff right now. Let's grab that Scout. Pick number 6. Well, there's only one on-color card, so we're taking a Guardian of the Great Door as a big flying finisher, which is fine. You can make this really cheap if you've got a nice wide board state of artifacts and creatures. The problem is you don't want to tap all your creatures instead of attacking with them, but if you have a bunch of map tokens, it can be really nice. Speaking of cheap cards that are really nice, Cogwork Wrestler is an excellent cheap combat trick. Plays super well being a combat trick that sits on the board from that point on, so you can tap it to your cards like your Warden, your Gem Guard, your Thousand Moon Smithy. It's an artifact, so you can pull it out with your crewmate. Just hits a lot of good synergies that make it overperform quite a bit from what it looks like. Pick number 8. Gem Guard or a Riddle for the side. I'll take a Riddle for the sideboard at this point. I don't think I'm going to main deck. Hopefully not even main decking 1 Gem Guard, but definitely not 2. Pick 9, just take the on-color card. Very filler 3-drop, because the times where you don't have an artifact to sack to this plays really poorly. 2 toughness card for 3 mana. But we are in the market for some really filler cards to fix our mana curve a little bit, get some more cheap creatures. All right, time to get into pack number 3. See if we can't open up a third on-color rare. That would be incredible. We opened a white rare 2 packs in a row. Could this be the super lucky draft where you just open a rare in the exact same color in every pack? Kind of. Restless Anchorage isn't just a white rare, it's a multicolored blue-white rare, but it certainly works excellent in this deck, and we're going to take it here. Doubt we're getting back the Iceberg. Looks like blue and white were heavily contested in pack number 2, so we only have a few picks to get some really solid playables, but hopefully the first few picks here can play out quite well for us. We'll see. I am a big fan of Lodestone Needle. Didn't look like much early in the format, but the more I've played it, the more I enjoy it. Pretty easy to craft with Artifact in this color pair, and then you're just exploring every single turn for +1/+1 counters and card draw and huge value. So I actually really like the Lodestone Needle. The part that was really not impressive to me with this card is like the front half. Cards like this that are just like tap and stun a creature for a couple turns have always just been pretty mediocre, like on the lower end of filler. But this is that and a whole extra card with that Guidestone Compass, and the Guidestone Compass itself is a very good card to slap on. So now we take an Old Tech Cloud Guard, which is awkward because it's the best creature by a lot for what it's doing for its mana cost, but in terms of our mana curve, we're definitely looking more for some more 1 and 2 drops ideally, like 2 drops and 3 drops mostly, but we can't pass up on a Cloud Guard. The card is just too good. Pick number 4. Could Might of the Ancestors, get our little 1/1 token attacking bigger, but I am not a fan of that card. I'll just take another Glorifier. All right, pick number 5. Get a Cogwork Wrestler or an Inverted Iceberg. I really like the Iceberg, but it's basically another 6-drop, so it's another really slow spell. I like having more cheap artifacts to get Zoetic Glyph pretty consistent. I'm actually going to take another Wrestler over the Iceberg, which is a little awkward. Although, I don't know, we could go all in on just big end game flipping these big guide murals and stuff. You know, let's go all in on grind mode. Take the Iceberg here, drop the hammers and like the quick little aggro cards. Go for our bigger stuff instead, go for the top end. In which case we probably run both the caves as well. Take a Cosmium Blast as well for being defensive. Take a Sunscribe here. We definitely need more 2-drop creatures. And more artifacts, ideally. Wow, this pack worked a lot better for us. Still finding playables. Now we take a River Herald Scout for another creature, I think. Okay, so 27 cards, 3 lands. It's currently a 16-land deck. With a land cycler, a plane cycler, which is nice. I don't know. I don't love any of those there. We could probably go 16 lands and a plane cycler, but these are kind of like 7 drops. These are 6 drops. Got really big top end with this one. So we might just cut a card, play 17 lands, call it a deck. Or we could just immediately call it a deck at 16 lands. I think I'm going to go for the 17 here. I think this is definitely a slower version of blue-white than I'm generally used to. Usually I have a few like the 1-mana 1/1 flyers, and we actually play the deconstruction hammers alongside them. But this deck, our early game creatures are all pretty mediocre. I don't think we're actually just slamming out aggressively really at all. We're just trying to overwhelm our opponent with big value plays like Guide Mural and Iceberg and Lodestone Needle in the late game. So we'll just cut like one of the Glorifiers, and that's a deck right there to start off with. Yep, we've got 2 caves to prevent flooding as well. Yeah, slower, grindier version of blue-white, but still looking pretty solid and pretty powerful. We will call it a deck here. Alright, here we have a final look at the deck list for today. We're on a blue-white craft kind of deck. Definitely a slower build than we're used to. We still have a decent amount of some 1s and 2 drops to try to block and trade off with against the more aggressive decks. But we're much more focused on flipping some big old Master's Guide murals, dropping some gigantic flyers, and maybe getting the Barracks of the 1,000 to get flipped and really spit out a ton of stuff. So huge top end in this deck. Little bit of nice, efficient removal. Cosmium Blast and Petrify for permanent removal. Blunder and Unlucky Drop and Lodestone Needle for like tempo removal to keep us in the game for a while. So just try to stall things out with our early game plays till we get to some huge late game finishers and value plays. Seems like a definite game plan, and hopefully it pans out well for us, but we'll find out soon enough as we head into the gameplay. Alright, here we are on the play for game 1 with Warden into Attentive Sunscribe. Yeah, that's a keep right there. Need to get a third permanent out to start going crazy with the Warden. But just attacking in for now seems fine. We've got our end game with Master's Guide Mural. That'll be a solid 5-drop and a solid 7-drop. And it looks like our opponent had to take a mulligan or two over there. I see that hand jiggling around. Double a mulligan. They are down to 5 cards in hand to start things off. There's an island into Arazka Puzzle Door as their turn 1 play. Jamming with that Warden. Plop down a Sunscribe. I guess if they don't cast anything, I could blunder my own Warden to get a map token so I have 3 permanents towards it. Probably not quite worth a card generally, but it might be worth it here. To start actually juicing up the Warden with those +1/+1 counters. Although it would be the difference between hitting them for 3 and hitting them for 0 this turn. If they don't play a blocker. Because we'd blunder our own Warden, and then we wouldn't want to attack with Sunscribe. That way I'd immediately be able to tap 3 permanents towards the Warden. Alright, they're going to crack the puzzle door for card draw, and that means they'll have an artifact engraved to craft with for the Otaclan landmark. They'll get their 1/4 flyer on blocks next turn. Yeah, I'm really unsure about this whole blunder plan, especially because they're probably flipping this thing. Blundering this after they've crafted to get it out feels really strong, so I'm just going to hold on to the blunder rather than blundering my own Warden. And now I have the permanent to help tap next turn. Tap the Iceberg, the Warden, and the Sunscribe if we don't have good attacks. But yeah, if they just flip the landmark here, we're going to bounce it, and it's not going to be great for our opponent. Oh yeah. That's going to be unfortunate. Monumentally annoying for them. Mill a land, hit a Cosmium Blast. Cash in for damage or get that +1/+1 counter. Let's cash in for damage. Once we get the Guide Mural down, we'll be in a position where we can much more easily tap some permanents to get counters on the Warden without stopping the damage that we're dealing to our opponent. So we drop the Guide Mural, and then I have tons of permanents to start tapping. And we're in a beautiful spot. There's an Acolyte for a 1/4 blocker, and the Landmark again for some scry, scrying one at the top, one at the bottom. Ooh. Cloud Guard as well. That's another card that's going to make sure we have plenty of permanents. I think I get mana efficient though and drop the Guide Mural first. Why do I get to scry here? Oh my god, the Warden lets me scry too? That's insane. Why? Definitely not necessary. Just like bonus scry, I guess, from Warden of the Inner Sky. Ooh, Preacher of the Schism is not good for me. And Throne is terrifying. If they get a pirate, dinosaur, merfolk, pirate, and vampire, we basically just lose. They get a giant lifelinking hexproofer that we can't do anything about that makes us sack stuff. And they have a pirate and a merfolk. They have a vampire on board. They just need to find a dinosaur to flip this. This was a game that I thought there was like no chance we would lose. And now I'm getting a little concerned. So let's probably get 2 more counters on the Warden. You know, I think I'm actually keeping the 6th land at this point. We've got a 6 mana craft, a 7 mana craft. Yeah. Let's get that flying vigilance going here. We have built our own Sarah Angel. Oak. And I maybe should have kept the land last turn too, because if we did, we would have been able to cast the Cloud Guard while holding up the Cosmium Blast for their Preacher. This card does a lot. Spitting out lifelinking vampires every turn is what they're going to get right now. I mean, they're not in an excellent position to keep attacking with it, though, so not the end of the world for us. Okay, they milled 2. Did they hit a dino? Oh my god, they milled 2 and they hit a dino. That's an issue. This thing doesn't get haste, right? Oh my god, they milled a dino. Yeah, it doesn't get haste. So when it attacks, we sack a permanent and they spit one of those 4 cards out, tapped and attacking for free. It doesn't have reach, so we just kill them in the sky. Oh my god. That was so concerning, but yeah, if we attack for 8, they're just dead. They can gain 1, but that's it. Yeah. Oh my god, okay. This game was so much closer than it looked at the start. But here's 8 damage. 1, 2, 3, 8. All right, well, they have a scary deck over there. They've got the Throne of the Grim Captain with all the types for the Grim Captain. They've got the Preacher of the Schism for a pretty big bomb as well. If they get that on turn 3 on the play, it's going to be a nightmare for us. We are definitely keeping our Cosmium Blast in here for that Preacher. Keeping the Petrify we could use on the Throne. Plenty of removal spells in the deck that we're just going to keep in here. I don't think we really swap anything out though, right? Because Confounding Riddle, we're on the draw next game, so I won't have Confounding Riddle up until they have already cast their 2 and 3 mana plays. So that would mean they've already cast their Throne of the Grim Captain, they've already cast their Preacher, unless they top deck it later. I think we just run the same build we just had. Maybe Deconstruction Hammer's fine against the Throne. Cut something for that could be okay. Yeah, that's like the one thing I'm seeing that is maybe okay here. I don't know what I'm really dropping out. I like pretty much everything I'm seeing. Yeah, no, I'm chill. Let's just run it back as we head into game 2 of round 1. Here we are for game 2 of round 1. They're letting me be on the play, so they want to draw extra cards here. Let's roll out with the crewmate here. Let's take advantage of being on the play by hitting them as quickly as possible. Or as much damage as possible. Gem Guard might actually be kind of impressive on this board state. We're probably going to have some artifacts sitting around. Doing nothing else anyway. Drawing 3 artifacts before the crewmate's a little awkward, but we still got there. That Thousand Moon Smithy is now the 4-drop that we're going to play. I was going to say, crewmate's not the most likely to hit something since we've already drawn 3 of our 9 artifacts. But we still got there, and we had options. We had 2 different options, which is crazy. Drop that Iceberg. They don't have the mana up to give the Vanguard Indestructible here. We are A-okay with the trade. And they're okay with the trade as well. Trying to grind out the long game victory. I guess if I didn't attack there, after I play the Thousand Moon Smithy, I would have 5 permanents towards it. So we could like insta-flip it. Whereas now if I play it, I have 4 out of 5. Yeah, that could have been wrong. That probably was wrong. I wasn't thinking about being that close to flipping it. They've only got a vampire. They've got a vampire and a dino for the throne. Okay, Guide Mural is big here. 2 more permanents is huge. We'll cast that one. Now we're definitely flipping the Thousand Moon Smithy next turn. Well, we're probably flipping it. 10 damage is a lot. So tapping one of our attackers and doing less damage is a little sad. I think I'm doing it though. Boom. Now when we're casting any creatures or artifacts off that, we're spitting out more gnome soldiers. They're at 14. You know what? I probably missed lethal with Lodestone Needle in hand. We just stun that. Hit for 11 when Needle's on board. So 11, 12, 13? I don't have the mana for all that. I'd have the mana for this and that. Okay, I didn't miss lethal, but I could have done a ton of damage instead of doing this. I think I'm still going to stun here and just play the Warden. Still a ton of damage. And that won't untap, so keeps it off as a blocker as long as we need to try to find the lethal here. Bunch of non-creature cards again off the throne. Here's a life-linking blocker. It's a little bit of something. Probably not enough of something. Cast the Guardian of the Great Door off of the barracks. Let's tap everything to the Warden here. I imagine this is well over lethal. When they can chump this, gain 3. They're at essentially 9. Okay, it's not going to be literal lethal, but it is going to be like, how on earth do you come back from this level of lethal? Sure, Glorifier is actually okay on this board. Yeah, they go to 2 life. They chump and go to 2. Ooh, chump and go to 3. More non-creatures from the throne. They've had really bad luck with that throne and the Grim Captain this time around. And we just had exceptional luck with the Thousand Moon Smithy. Yeah, that was really not a super fair round of Magic. They got hit by some rough mulligans in game 1. In game 2, we had kind of a nuts hand, and they did not find good mills from their throne. So 2-0 to start it off. That is a victory in round number 1. All right, here we are for round number 2. It's a real slow hand, but that needle can keep us around a bit. See how it works out for us. Okay, opponent's got a slow hand too, not starting with any creatures turn 2. Like, this format starts on turn 1 quite often with a 1-drop creature. So any game where you're not getting curved out 1-drop, 2-drop, 3-drop is a little slow. So you're happy to see that when you have a slow hand like this. Alright, here they go. Sanguine Evangelist. Well, that I'm very unhappy to see. You have great rares as well? I'm the only one who's supposed to have great rares. I guess I can at least stun the Battle Cry card so they aren't jamming in for a bunch of extra damage. Well, we've drawn all lands and a 6-drop, so no plays yet. So the Evangelist is really good, because like if you don't deal with the Evangelist itself, it's going to keep buffing their whole board on the attacks and getting a bunch of extra damage in. And if you do, it still spit out 2 1/1s with flying. So it's like a 2 or even 3 for 1 at minimum. Excellent card. Our opponent is on probably the very multicolored caves kind of deck. It looks like. Oh no. They have different basics. They are winning the mental game so hard right now. I can't stop looking at them. The basic lands. Alright, so when Wrestler doesn't even do anything without more permanents. Juice up the Gem Guard to where it is big enough to block a 3/3. Although that 3/3 is going to attack as a 4/3 next turn because of the Battle Cry. This don't look good. This does not look good at all. Ooh, and they found a non-land to put a counter on the flyer, and that non-land is a Waterwind Scout, which is an excellent draw. 2/2 flyer that comes with a map token, one of the best commons in the format. Game's looking real bad, and their deck is looking very scary. I mean, their mana base could definitely cause them some issues, so we're basically getting beaten down like they're one of the streamlined aggressive blue-white decks, but the mana base really says otherwise. So, best hopes in this matchup is probably that they just get punished by their mana base just a little bit, and that buys us the time we need. So Wrestler plus Unlucky Drop might be a fine defensive route to take. The Wrestler can trade into the Evangelist. It'll give the Pirates -2/-0, so the Gem Guard can kill the Pirates, and the Unlucky Drop can permanently kill the 2/2 flyer. It's probably what we have to do here. Cross our fingers, hope for no interaction for that kind of thing, rather than just playing a single creature and hoping they don't bounce it or something. So there's the Waterwind Scout. They are going to explore onto the Spyglass Siren. See if they can get another +1/+1 counter. They do not, but they get a hidden Necropolis for another cave, which is still good. Better than just like a basic here, at least. Don't attack with Evangelist. I'm very surprised by that. What is the 1-mana combat trick in this set? Dreadmaw's Ire, okay. That would have been really gross, but that actually makes Cogwork Wrestler super good. We don't actually kill the pirates, but now they don't blow up anything of mine. And then I can still just perma-kill the token. Yeah, I forgot about Dreadmaw's Ire, but luckily we had a solid play against that. Zoetic Glyph. I can buff the Cogwork Wrestler or the Gem Guard, or I can just make the Needle another creature. Oh, they're still at 20. with some flying stats over there. Cast my own flyer, and if they don't have removal, that stops theirs. Gets us stable. So I'll go for that here. You know what? No, I'm just going to tap lands on this. So I can gem guard again. Rather than holding the 1/2 up. Rampaging Spiketail. Give one of their creatures indestructible so they can get the full battle cry without worrying about the Evangelist dying. That's pretty nasty. It's big damage here. Big damage here. Down to 7. I mean, those were good blocks for us, though. There's that. Play a Cloud Guard and a Sunscribe. Holding up quite a bit of blockers that way. Yeah, quite a few blockers, really. I'll do that. Could be the turning point here. Because I think that attack still worked in our favor. Even through the Spiketail. Oh my god, they have double Evangelist? That's very good. Send in the 5/6. Guess I lose my gem guard. Okay, well, that earlier combat was still definitely favorable for us, but I don't know if the game is favorable for us at this point. Maybe? They've got 1 cave to crack. They've got this land they can animate and attack with, so I can't really attack much. I guess I can attack with my man land here. Start poking with Restless Anchorage. I've got the artifact engraved to craft with the Lodestone Needle now as well, so might be better to do that. Yeah, let's start exploring. Every turn, going for value. I guess I can Zoetic Glyph in the same turn here. So we glyph up the 1/1 into 5/4 stats. 5/4 is already a good attacker. I guess they double block with double Evangelist and then have 5 flyers to beat me with. Might be their best game plan. I don't know, I think I'm going to beef up this creature on the ground, though. Nope, I will draw a land, so it doesn't matter what I choose. Okay. Double Battle Cry is terrifying. +2/+0 to the whole board. And if we kill the Evangelists, they pop out more bat tokens. This is interesting. In a bad way. All right, discover 4. Oh, discover another Waterwind Scout. Premium spells over there. Well, we've got premium spells too, but also a Sunscribe and an Unlucky Drop. I've played like 2 spells that aren't that premium. But I guess they've played like 1 spell that's not that premium with the Wanderglyph, but I still think that card's very good. Now they have a Call Pakal coming up. Put that thing back where it came from. Yeah, get the bomber out of here. God, this is a nightmare. We just can't really do any attacks or anything here. All of their flyers are attacking with 3. This one's attacking for 3. This is attacking for 4 with the Evangelists. So getting a 5 toughness card, getting more 4 toughness flyers is big. So I guess we have this trades into this. We'll do this trades here, and then this 5/5 blocks the 4/2 if they attack all next turn. Would be the hope. Okay, cool. And Cosmium Blast is a great draw, so we'll keep it. And then I guess I have to just be holding up the Restless Anchorage on blocks. Which means maybe Zoetic Glyph on attacks is fine. Wait, no, but then I would discover a Cosmium Blast if they kill that right now. If they just block with Wanderglyph Evangelist and I discover a Cosmium Blast. Pretty weak discover. But I guess then I have it in my hand, so it's not the end of the world. Maybe it was still just okay to send in the glyph. It probably was. There's a Culpacall. Idol of the Deep King. That is astronomically rude. So they kill my flyer and draw a card off a Culpacall. I go to 4. And then they have 3 1/1 flyers to attack me with next turn. But I have a Cosmium Blast up. Seems okay-ish. Is there a better way to orient these? Maybe, but I don't see it. Man, no, next turn they can just craft the idol and then another artifact hit their board. Yeah, that's so gross. So they craft the idol. I have to Cosmium Blast whichever flyer they put the idol onto. And then just value me out with a Culpacall because they get to draw another card off a Culpacall. Yep, and I can't attack because they have that Restless Events. So like in theory I could attack. And I would be able to just Cosmium Blast whatever is wearing the idol. But then if they instead animate the Restless Events and attack with that 2/3 Menace, then I'm dead on board. Even with the Cosmium Blast, because I can only shoot 1 creature, I shoot that 2/3 and take 4 damage with these 4. Maybe just a Gnome attack would be viable, since they don't have double red to crew the vents and flip the idol. Yeah, I guess since they can't crew the vents and flip the idol, attacking with just the gnome would have been okay. I don't know what's going on here, but I think I have to go to 2. Chart a course to draw 2. Okay. Play an Oaken Siren. Well, there you go, a call. I don't know what this line was about. With the idle flip being a thing, I guess they just didn't want to flip into getting Cosmium Blast, but since the idle flip triggers the Akalpakal, I think it would have been reasonable. I mean, we have no idea what's in their hand, so they probably just have some real specific stuff over there. Okay, now I'm dead no matter how I play. Oh, I guess they didn't have the black source for the Restless Vents. They definitely could have crafted the idol, but they didn't have the black source for the Restless Vents last turn. They have it now off this hidden courtyard. Unless they did have the courtyard last turn, it looked like they just played it, though. Yep, craft the idol. It's another Akalpakal draw. Man, I felt like that combat earlier went so well for us. Like, we almost could have pulled our way through double Sanguine Evangelist. I think we probably could have beat double Sanguine Evangelist with the way that we pulled through those attacks, those combats. Couldn't make it through double Sanguine Evangelist plus Akalpakal. The Akalpakal card draw has just been too much to close the game out. Keep the Madden cards here. Okay. Just idle my face. You got it. All right. I think their deck is incredibly powerful. And that's going to be an issue. But if we can find some really decent lines during combat like we did there, we might be able to slightly pull things in our favor. With favorable blocks and attacks and stuff like that. And it's definitely going to be an uphill battle. I think they are advantaged for sure. But if we can play nice and tight, we might be able to pull out a victory or two. Against the idols for that 2 damage trick, double acrobatic leap seems pretty great. Counter their removal spell, maybe win a combat that we wouldn't have won otherwise. So run those over. I don't know, maybe one of the River Herald Scouts. Or a Glorifier of Suffering. A Puzzle Door. Yeah, I'll just cut like double Scout. Seem pretty filler for this matchup. Let's go double Leap. Call it a deck there. Let's get on the play here. Keep the hand. Get things rolling. Turn 2 crewmate finds a guide mural for turn 5. Compass Gnome from our opponent to start things off. Puts Forgotten Monument on top of their deck. We really need to draw 1 land here, but that should be enough for basically everything. I don't think I attack in here, because if I hit a land, getting a 1/1 gnome is going to be enough to block Compass Gnome forever, and having more permanents to be able to tap to cards like Gem Guard's pretty good. Oh, they've got a Throne of the Grim Captain as well. Okay. Well, here's the sad version of land number 4. They've got a pirate in the grave for the throne. There's another pirate. Stun the crewmate, get in for 2. That cloud guard, stop the compass gnome from doing anything. Start chipping away in the sky next turn. They milled a Kalpakal. Their deck is like loaded with bombs. Double Evangelist, a Kalpakal, Throne of the Grim Captain. We've got 2 bombs in here. We've just drawn them a lot. I guess there's our dual land, but that's not really a bomb. It's just a really good card. Wow. Atali's Favor, discover the idol for our flyer. Seems like a good day to pick up the lottery tickets. We just glyph the gnome up, I think. Go for the trade on blocks. Just need a vampire and a dinosaur. I guess the evangelists are the 2 vampires. God, imagine building a Throne of the Grim Captain deck and your 2 vampires are like the best bomb rare vampires. The Battlecry vampires. So nasty. I don't really think I'm going to have the mana to toy around with this as a combat trick. I'm just going to slam that thing on the board. Right, because when I have 5 mana, I'm just slamming these. Oh, well, I'm real glad I slammed it on the board, because I would not want to play it during their turn anyway. Here's a guide mural for a 4/4 against their 4/3. That is a dinosaur. So if they mill one of the evangelists, it's just game over. Because, yeah, I guess that's their dinosaur. They mill an evangelist, they craft the raptor off the board, they have a 7/7 menace, lifelink, trample, blows up one of my cards and spits out a creature for free every turn. I guess, oh my god, unlucky drop can hit artifacts? No! Oh my god, please don't just craft it right now. I will actually cry. We could have unlucky dropped in response to the mill ability and just have them mill their own throne. I can't believe I realized that literally 1 turn off. Because now they just get to craft the raptor. We might as well chump here because they're going to exile the raptor anyway. Oh my god, I can't believe this hits artifacts and I just didn't realize. That's so annoying. Could have just won this game. I mean, not like 1 guaranteed, but definitely want to lose right now. Oh, snap. Okay. Okay, we're still in it. I mean, I have to shoot myself in the face for 4 when I stop them from throning. Well, no, it's actually, oh my god, it's still 1 turn too late because they just never have to mill with it again. Because they've hit all the card types. So they're not going to mill anymore. So there is no opportunity to put it in their graveyard anymore. Friggin' flippin'. Yeah, you could tell it's been a while since I hopped into this format. Might have remembered that text on Unlucky Drop. But this is my first draft of Lost Caverns in a while. Done like 7 or 8 cons drafts and then come back for this. I guess I could unlucky drop in response to this. I think I already clicked, so it's too late because we're playing arena. Can I respond to the craft ability? I don't think I can. Yeah, I should have unlucky dropped in response to the spike tail. Okay, well, they gave us one more shot and then I punted again. Not that I was punting myself out of the game in terms of punting a game that we were definitely winning. It was still anyone's game, but it would have been anyone's game instead of definitely theirs. Alright, I'm just gonna go play round 3 and then I'm gonna go back to cons. Let's go play round 3. We maybe could have won that game, but I didn't realize the unlucky drop combos against the throne. Now I know for the future. And here we are for game number 3. Well, round number 3. Let's drop Staunch Crewmate. See what we pull out here. Cogwork Wrestler, not the greatest card to have revealed. But still nice to get value off the crewmate. Stinging Cave Crawler. Let's probably petrify that, I think. Unless I draw into a Cloud Guard, then we'll just play that. Mephitic Draft. Draw a card, lose a life, and if that goes to the graveyard, they'll draw another card. Puzzle Door's the draw. And just go all in the sky here. Hit for 3 and then drop a 4 power flyer and try to hit for 7 next turn. Fanatical Offering, that's going to be a draw 3, sack the draft, draw 2 off that, and 1 off the draft. Deathcap Marionette, mill a couple cards, that gets the Cave Crawler potentially to descent. They decide not to mill. Which is interesting. Did they? I don't think they scried to the top or anything. So I don't know why they didn't want to mill on that one. Alright, well, hit for 7. Petrify a Cave Crawler and crack a Puzzle Door. I guess we crack the Puzzle Door first in case it hits something better to do. Just take the land so we can cast our 5 drops next turn. Guess it might be better to River Herald Scout and hold the Petrify in case they play their own flyer. Probably would be better. Ooh, Glorifier of Suffering plays really well against Petrify, but they still don't have any flyers. Mephitic Draft? Oh. Well, now they're dead on board, since they shot themselves for 1. And there's the concession. They were going to have 1 more turn to potentially draw out of it, but that draft to shoot themselves did some work for us. Matchup seems good. At least it did that game. They don't have really any flying, so just resolving some random blue or white flyers can get there, and we have a couple up near the top end of the curve, so yeah, can definitely play a little tighter, but I'm perfectly confident with our current build of the deck as we head into game 2 of round 3. Alright, here we are for game 2 of round 3. That's 5-lander. I think I'm taking the mulligan. This looks better. Not significantly, but it does look better. think we ditch one of our pieces of interaction here. I don't think we can ditch a land. I don't think we ditch the big finisher. Yeah, it's got to be one of these two. I'll just get rid of the more expensive interaction. Ooh, that's a draw. Opponent starts the curve with Attentive Sunscribe. Turn 2. Come on, non-land card. Dang, non-land would have been excellent. To have a 2/3 blocker against their 2/2 stop the Sunscribe from doing anything. Alas, it was not to be. It was an island. I don't really want to Cosmium Blast a 2/2, so I'll drop another Scout here and hope for an on-land again. Although I guess I can just double block the Sunscribe with 2 1/2s at this point if we don't hit the non-land we're looking for. Alright, well. I mean, it's card draw. Getting some extra cards here. A couple 2-for-1 River Herald Scouts. 2 mana 1/2 draw an island, 2 mana 1/2 draw plains. Still good cards. No! Deadweight one of them so we can't double block the Sunscribe. Still stops the Marionette from attacking, which is something. I imagine they're playing a land this turn. Yeah, I was going to say, they scried to the top last turn, and I don't think they would have done that. If they were on a 2-lander, and they scried an on-land card, I don't think they would have been like, yeah, I want this non-land over my 3rd land. Alright, so this Thousand Moon Smithy's pretty unlikely to flip, but the gnome itself is going to put in a lot of work for us. There's the Bartolome del Presidio. But yep, that gnome is just stopping the damage here, and especially once we get this guide mural out. We are nice and stable on board. That gnome is absolutely gigantic. I guess if they don't blow up any of our permanents, we could tap out to flip the smithy. And then I'll have 6 mana up, which is enough to play a crewmate and a Sunscribe to block with while holding up a Cosmium Blast, you know? That's enough stuff to block with to definitely not die, and if we can get multiple gnomes off the Barracks of the Thousand, it's going to completely win us the game. So let's go for that, I think. Crewmate finds another guide mural. That's a pretty excellent draw. Yeah, this is gross. Things just go so insane with this rare. The Thousand Moon Smithy. Send in that Sunscribe. Do some scrying. Try to find some outs to their situation right now. Take the 2-1 for 2/2 trade. Okay, Cogwork Wrestler is awesome against these little Death Touchers. So they have to block with 2 Death Touchers. I get to trade into both of them. Or they block with 1 Death Toucher, and then I keep my giant thing. So block with 1 Death Toucher, I'll keep my giant thingamabob. And then we'll cast a guide mural off of the barracks. To get another gnome. Jesus, look at this board. They need like that rare that blows up all the creatures. The craft artifact blows up everything but like 1 small creature for each player. Power 2 or less, I think. But like the black board wipe isn't even big enough to kill a creature this big. God, this is so insane. And like, even if they do end up board wiping us, I'm not going to Cosmium Blast just to save one gnome, I think. Even if they do end up board wiping us, we'll still have the land that spits out a gnome every time we cast a creature or artifact with it. So it just doesn't feel particularly winnable for our opponent. Barracks of the 1,000 just completely nuts. Yeah, that was not a fair game of Magic at all. Okay, well, certainly punted away a chance at being 1-1 in round 2, a chance at a third game to turn things around there in the second round. So that's a little disappointing. Might have been able to get a 3-win run here, but grabbing at least a 2-win run here, positive record, still feels pretty decent for the first draft of Lost Caverns of Ixalan in a while. I think the deck was pretty cool. I think we definitely drafted it out pretty correctly. We might have been able to pick slightly better cards in our colors, but I think we ended up with the right colors. We got that Zoetic Glyph pretty late and some guide murals coming around. So heading into this color pair felt pretty correct. And we also just opened Mega Bombs on color, which there was a lot of luck to this draft. A lot of luck to our victories for sure. So probably just some justice that we get domed by double Sanguine Evangelist and a Call, because a lot of our victories were just us absolutely steamrolling with Barracks of the 1,000, kind of just for free. So 2-1 it will be to end this traditional draft of Lost Caverns of Ixalan. But that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for their support, as well as you for watching this video. If you enjoyed this video and you're interested in seeing more, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more in your recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. And if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. But other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.